One thing that Scotland loves, right, absolutely loves, is a juryless trial. They love juryless trials because as soon as that happens, they've got, if it's just the judge has carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants. Has carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants. As was the case in my trial. Like, the evidence and everything we provided, that judge is already, it was very clear because every piece of evidence we gave, the judge just completely ignored it. Like, his mind was made up long before we first set foot in the courtroom. I was getting a guilty verdict no matter what fucking happened. But there's a little caveat to this. Remember I told you about I've been recognising a lot of patterns recently. This falls into that as well, but again, I'll save it for the end. Scottish Government accused of interfering in independence of judiciary as lawyers are set to boycott juryless rape trials pilot. So basically, they're going to have juryless rape trials where you will not be convicted by a jury of your peers. It will all come down to the judge, and apparently the reason that they did that is because they're worried about members of the jury, the general public, just thinking, oh, well, a lot of these people a lot of women make up these accusations to try and destroy a man. After Me Too, did you notice that Me Too calmed right the fuck down when men started suing their accusers? And a lot of the accusers walked back their statements pretty damn fast. Did you notice that? If you notice how all of that calmed down after lawyers started getting brought into the situation? Well, because of all that, they're worried that juries are going to go in and apparently go, oh, this girl's probably lying. Well, let's base it on some fucking evidence then. Let's have, a trial about that to discover what the fuck was going on. I thought that's what trials were for, to establish whether or not this person actually did it and then pass sentence. But they wanted juryless rape trials. Now, juryless rape trials, that means that, men will just go in and get fucking convicted immediately right away. They want to, as soon as a man, touches a woman's knee, he's going to get sent away for 20 years because the judge can then just do whatever he wants, which could be the case, but there is another part of it that you're not seeing. And again, I'll save it for the end. Under the Victims, Witnesses and Justice Reform Scotland Bill, ministers will be able to pilot trials with a judge deciding whether to convict a rape suspect, not a jury. The Scottish Solicitors Bar Association says many of its members across the country have voted against the proposals. Now, the Scottish Solicitors Bar Association, they are kicking off with the Scottish Government as of late, especially with the hate crime bill. Like, the hate crime bill, obviously the bar came out and they were raging about it, going, this is absolutely disgraceful, criminalising stuff, over dinner conversations in a private home. But mostly the fact is that even the police came out and went, this law is too far. That's how bad it was. So yeah, it's basically, in the legal land in Scotland, everyone's unhappy. Prosecutors are very happy. They're all very happy. Everyone else, not so much. The Scottish Government has been accused of attempting to interfere with the independence of the judiciary amid a row over plans to pilot juryless rape trials, which interfere with the independence of the judiciary is exactly what they're doing. That's the point. But I believe it's for a different reason. I will get onto it at the end. Lawyers across the country are expected to join what looks set to be a unanimous boycott of the scheme, which was proposed last month as part of a new justice reform bill, which is good. I think that's amazing that they're doing that. All rape and attempted rape trials in Scotland are currently held before a jury of 15 people who listen to the evidence and then decide whether the accused is innocent, guilty, or the charges not proven. A lot of people don't know this. Scotland has a third verdict. You get the standard guilty or not guilty, and then you get not proven. Not proven basically means the evidence proves for a fact that this man did not do this. Not proven basically means maybe the guy did it, but you've not provided enough evidence to actually confirm whether or not he did. So that means if someone gets a not proven, someone could maybe have actually fucking done it, but the prosecutors and the police fucked up in their evidence. So that's our third one that you've got. Under the new proposals being put forward, ministers will have the power to carry out a pilot of rape trials being conducted by a single judge without a jury. My trial was conducted by a single judge. It wasn't a rape trial. It was a trial for telling a joke, because that's how bad Scotland is now. Although more than 80% of criminal trials in Scotland are already conducted without a jury, according to the Scottish Government, lawyers across the country intend to boycott Holyrood's plans to introduce the scheme to rape cases. Basically, if you're under a serious charge, you will get a jury no matter what. You'll get a jury. If you're up there for murder, armed robbery, serious assault or something, we don't have a felony misdemeanor system in Scotland. We just basically have standard crime and then serious. So, like, assault and then serious assault. So that's our misdemeanor felony. We just put serious in the title. We're not an imaginative bunch. Anyway. But yeah, if you get a serious charge, then you'll get a jury. Everything else, if it's like shoplifting or you got into a fight or whatever, fuck, if you just got into a fight. If it was a stand-up fight, as the courts call it, where you and a guy both said, let's fucking go, and started fighting, you get put in the cells overnight and released the next day. Maybe you'll get a letter in the post saying you've been fined £100. Because like I've said many times, the Scottish courts, there isn't enough time in the universe to go through it to like have a trial for every fight that happens here. So yeah. The Scottish Solicitors Bar Association has confirmed at least 10 groups have voted against the proposals. President Julia McPartlin says lawyers in Aberdeen, Airdrie, Dumfries, Dundee, Edinburgh, Falkirk, Glasgow, Hamilton, Highland and Moray and Paisley will boycott the plans. In a statement, the association said the proposed pilot is a clear attempt to interfere in the independence of the judiciary and the court process by the Scottish Government. The motivation behind this pilot is to increase the conviction rate for rape at any cost. That is it. Now, I think convictions, it shouldn't be, our conviction rate's very low, we should get those numbers up. I mean, if a conviction doesn't go through, isn't that the fuck up of the prosecutors and the police? They didn't get enough evidence and they didn't make a good enough case. That's what it would be. That means the fault's with the prosecutors and the police. Get the evidence then. You accuse the guy of doing it, then find the evidence that proves he done it. I thought that's how trials worked. You can't just go, this motherfucker did this, and the judge goes, I'm sold, and brings the gavel down. I think that conviction should be based on whether or not the person actually did it. Like, if a person's accused, if he's guilty, find him guilty. If he's not guilty, find him not guilty. But it seems these guys are going, nah, fuck all that. They should all be guilty. Well, what if the guy didn't do it? Fuck me. It's that bad. But there's another reason. We'll save it for the end. The bill proposes that judges appointed to the pilot court can be removed apparently without reason. Judges can be removed immediately without reason, and then they might be able to put in their own judge. Why would they want to do that? Again, I'll save it for the end. This is important. Security of tenure is a fundamental safeguard against interference by the government and the independence of the judiciary. So that means if a certain case, usually it just is random, like your judge gets assigned to XY case, but they want to be able to specifically select what particular judge goes into a certain particular case. And and you might be thinking, they're going to bring in the hard-ass judge that's going to hand out 20-year sentences because a guy touched a girl's knee in a club 19 years ago. No, there's a different reason. Furthermore, the workings of the pilot court will be subject to review. These are unprecedented proposals. The Victims, Witnesses and Justice Reform Scotland Bill aims to address a number of issues around serious sexual offences, including a bid to scrap the controversial not proven verdict. It also proposes to reduce the size of criminal juries from 15 to 12, the same number as those in England. Former Senior Judge Lord Uiste previously described the plans for single-judge rape trials as constitutionally repugnant and accused ministers of treating the courts as forensic laboratories in which to experiment with their policies. Now, that's one thing that's always bothered me is, this is totally new. This is like a new thing that the government's testing out. And then this new thing the government's testing out got you a 15-year fucking sentence for something you might have not even done. And all that. That's why I don't like the judge going like, I'm going to set an example of you. I'm going to set an example of you to deter people from committing this crime. Bitch, fuck you. Don't use my life and my freedom to send your little fucking message. Hire a fucking billboard, son. If what I did was worthy of 6 months, you're going to give me 6 years to set an example? Fuck you. That's not what my life's for. It's not your tool for you to fucking send a message across. Fucking buy a phone. Buy advertising on Facebook, you fucking gimp. Sorry. I have a little bit of history with being made an example of in a courtroom. Speaking to Sky News on Monday, Aberdeen Bar Association Vice President Ian Woodward-Nutt told Sky News it is a danger. This level of political meddling is something that we should all be deeply concerned about. Well, your political meddling in the courts are literally an arm of the government. They own it. They rule the roost. They decide what fucking happens in it. Again, Aren't states just great? Mr. Woodward said, using juries in the most serious cases means they are protected from public scrutiny and brings a breadth of real-life experience to their decision-making. In the most recent figures, conviction rates of rape and attempted rape were 51%, compared with 91% for all other crimes. Then get more evidence. Do more investigating, right? Mr. Woodward said the lower conviction rate is down to some defect in the system. He explained that in rape cases, it's rare to have an independent witness, and it's normally the account of a complainer against an accused, which means it is very difficult for the prosecution to prove a case beyond reasonable doubt. Mr. Woodward noted that the plans were, well, I thought that was the point though. In order to be convicted as guilty, you have to have that proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That is isn't that like the literal core component of a fair trial? You're supposed to have a fair trial. You had a fair shake at it. The government went after you. They didn't get it, so they're like, you know what? We're just going to change the rules of the game so we can just find you guilty, right? And everyone's in this. Remember how I says they use a little publicly palatable things. So if you say, "Oh, rape cases," and everyone in the street's going to go, "Oh, rape. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You'll do it for rape cases." And then after a while, it won't just be for rape cases. It'll be for lots of other charges. It'll be lots of other trials. It'll be little basic things like shoplifting and all that type of stuff where a judge can just go, yeah, guilty. Yeah, you're guilty. Don't get a jury anymore. And also because of the way our conviction rate was low, so we lowered the bar for evidence. Oh, beyond a reasonable doubt? Ah, nah, that's not needed, man. I'm the judge. I'm the man in the big wig. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt anymore. It comes down to what I think. Man, evidence? Psh, nah. And you've got piercings and tattoos. Yeah, you look like a criminal. Yeah, you probably did it. 6 years. That's how bad it's getting. So again, they use the little publicly palatable thing of rape. You want to stop rapists, don't you? Yeah, of course we do. So we accept this little thing to come in, and then once it gets its foot in the door, it grows its little cancerous tendrils all over the place, and it'll infect every single fucking trial and type of crime. So that will just be a single judge who will just find you guilty immediately because he doesn't have to do reasonable doubt anymore. Liberal democracy is a failed experiment. Isn't it funny how liberal democracy that was meant to keep us, safe from totalitarianism and fascism, it turns out that it's still the path to that, just driving the speed limit? It's weird that, isn't it? He said that's an astonishing starting point for any programme of this type. The Scottish Solicitors Bar Association highlighted that the jury selection process protects against prejudice or misconceptions that might be held by a minority, and jurors are free to make decisions without pressure or undue influence. Jurors are also given specific directions by judges, and a jury manual used by judges to form their directions to the jury also contains detailed instructions on the many situations where consent is an issue. The Scottish Solicitors Bar Association says, we are of the view that existing measures and the jury selection process are sufficient to ensure a fair consideration of the evidence presented in rape trials. Scotland's Justice Secretary Angela Constance said, it is disappointing that some criminal defence lawyers oppose a recommendation of a review carried out by Lady Dorian, Scotland's second most senior judge, to improve how the justice system treats rape victims by piloting judge-only rape trials. There is overwhelming evidence that jurors are subject to preconceptions about rape that can impact the verdicts they reach, which is not the case in other serious crime trials. And that is basically because tons of women have been caught lying about it because they just wanted to absolutely annihilate a guy's life, because they felt like it or something like that. They're worried about that public perception of juries coming in and going, well, this woman might be lying. Well, then, it's the prosecutor and the police's job to provide evidence that she's telling the truth. That's welcome to. I didn't know I had to explain that to you. I thought you were all the fucking experts. I mean, you're literally the courts. That's how courts work. That's how trials work. I don't know why I have to explain how trials work to the people that carry out the trials, but hey ho, here we are. Over 80% of criminal trials in Scotland were already conducted without a jury. We have worked closely with the legal sector and will continue to do so during the development and evaluation of the pilot. Okay, so the bit at the end I was talking about in regards to certain patterns. Now, with this, they're going to pilot juryless trials. So the judge might be sitting there going, this motherfucker is guilty, but if the jury says not guilty, there's fuck all the judge can do about it. The judge just has to go, no, whatever then, and fucking free the guy and stuff like that. That's just the way it works with juries. The juries basically stop the judge from going fucking ham. right? That's why the jury's there. You're convicted under a jury of your peers. Now, with the juries being removed, it's all down to the judge, and the judge is just going to convict you, find you guilty fucking constantly, right? Now, and another thing as well is if there's a certain trial happening and the government doesn't like the judge that's on that trial, they can switch the judge to someone who's a little bit more on side, someone that has pockets that the government is filling, or someone with a vested personal interest in the trial. And everyone's like, oh, well, they're just doing that. They're putting a judge in there so that they know he's the hard ass and he'll give the guy like 20 years or something. No, I think it's a different reason. Because judges, yeah, absolutely, without the jury impeding them, they can just find you guilty right away. They'll just find you guilty and send you away for a very long time because it's totally at the judge's discretion. And because it's completely at the judge's discretion, he can also find you not guilty. He can also release you from the court. He can just send you on your merry little way. So let's say a certain someone gets caught with terabytes of child porn on their computer, or they were abusing children, or they were grooming children, or they were doing lots and lots of horrible stuff like that, and they get arrested, and they get charged, and then the court's little automated system assigns a judge to them. The government can then go, oh, not that judge, he hates that stuff, let's put our guy in. And that certain individual can get found not guilty and walk completely free of all his child sex offences and rape offences and stuff like that. That's another thing that can happen. That's another thing that the judges would have the power to do. Everyone's like, oh, men are going to get sent away for 20 years for touching a knee. That's not the part I'm worried about. I'm worried about that other part, which I think is the real reason that these are being brought in.